There's a brutal truth about becoming a manager that no one warns you about. You're no longer the hero of the story. Yesterday, your worth was measured in your personal output, your victories, your skills, your achievements. Today, your job is to make other people the hero. Most people completely underestimate how emotionally devastating this transition actually is. Think about Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars trilogy. So Luke starts as a farm boy who trains and becomes a Jedi Knight. He's the hero. He destroys the Death Star. He faces Darth Vader. It's him who saves the entire galaxy. But by the final trilogy, Luke has become the Yoda. He's the mentor. He's guiding Rey to be the hero. His job isn't to save the day anymore. It's to develop the person who will save the day. This shift from being Luke to being Yoda is the hardest transition in leadership. It's a large part of the reason why 80% of new managers struggle in their first year. There's 4 specific psychological traps that derail people during this transition. I'm going to show you all 4 and how to avoid them. First, let's look at the science behind why this is such a difficult transition. Harvard Business School's Michael Watkins studied thousands of leadership transitions. What he found was the most common failure point isn't a lack of skills. It's what he termed identity confusion. Stanford's Carol Dweck found that people who see leadership as a fixed trait struggle significantly more than those who view it as an identity that they can develop. What's really interesting, though, is brain imaging research shows that when we try to act in a way that's inconsistent with our sense of self, our self-concept, it creates neurological stress. So your brain is literally treating the new identity as if it's a threat to who you are, to your self-concept. This is why faking it until you make it often backfires for new managers, because you're fighting your own neurology. Let's be real about what this transition actually requires, because most people have got no idea what they're signing up for. And that is a large part of the struggle of becoming a new manager. So you take the responsibility without getting the praise. When your team succeeds, you celebrate them publicly. When they fail, you take accountability. So your ego has to be able to find satisfaction in other people getting the recognition, in other people succeeding. Your decisions are going to be criticized, but your successes are going to go unnoticed. The difficult choices that you make, even when they're to protect your team, are going to be challenged. But the smooth operations that you maintain and that you enable, nobody notices them. They're invisible. You have to be the bigger person in every situation, every interaction. There's no more workplace gossip, no more being one of the gang. You hold confidential information that you're not allowed to share. You'll hear complaints about your decisions. And these are things that you can't defend publicly. This isn't a role change. It's a fundamental identity transformation. These are the 4 traps that derail new managers. The first trap is needing to be an expert. It's where someone maintains their doer identity while trying to manage. Like Sarah, the developer who kept coding 60% of the time as a team lead. Her team learned to work around her instead of with her. Trap 2 is the friend trap. It's where you try and maintain the same relationships that you had as a peer while you're now exercising the authority as a manager. So Mike tried to keep his relationships the same after his promotion. When there were performance issues and he gave feedback, he was ignored because it's just Mike. The third trap is needing to be the hero. It's where you try and solve everyone's problems, shield them from difficulties. It's you over-functioning, taking on their responsibilities, fighting their battles for them. What it does is it makes your team dependent on you rather than capable in themselves. Trap 4 is leading from positional authority. It's overcorrecting by becoming overly directive. It's making unilateral decisions, not listening to input, a focus on compliance over engagement. What happens is people don't feel that there's any autonomy and they start looking for other opportunities. Each trap keeps you stuck in the old identity instead of growing and developing your new leadership identity. What leadership development programs never tell you is that this isn't about learning new skills. It's about developing a level of emotional maturity that most people underestimate. You have to find and source your fulfillment from other people's success rather than the spotlight being on you. You have to develop resilience to criticism, but at the same time, without the validation that you used to receive as a performer. This is why Yoda is such a perfect metaphor. If you think about it, Yoda was probably the greatest Jedi warrior in the galaxy at one time. But as a master, his job wasn't to fight anymore. It was to develop Luke into someone who could fight better than Yoda ever did. That takes incredible humility and emotional strength. The good news is that this transition follows a predictable pattern and you can navigate it systematically. Stage one is about exploring a new identity. It's who do I want to be as a leader? What do I look like as a leader? It's where you're clarifying your values. It's understanding your strengths, and you have to develop a leadership philosophy. It's not copying someone else's style. It's you discovering your authentic leadership identity. Stage two then is about acquiring the skills that you need. This is how do I express this philosophy, this identity? What are the practices that I manage by? It's learning techniques that align with your leadership style and your leadership philosophy. It's not generic best practices. It's skills that are natural for you, and so you're going to be able to sustain in the long term. Stage three is about how do I integrate this? How do I live this identity as a leader consistently, even while under enormous pressure? It's about applying your philosophy to the real world. It's about building habits that reinforce that identity. So even in challenging situations, your philosophy becomes manifest. The key insight is that you can't become an effective leader unless you resolve this leadership identity. Skills training assumes that you already know who you are as a leader. And when you've just stepped into a role, you don't know who you want to be yet because you're trying to work out your identity and your philosophy as you go. Here's what to do starting today. First, you need to recognize, where are you in the transition? Are you still in the expert track, trying to do the work instead of leading the work? Are you avoiding difficult conversations because they feel uncomfortable? The second is to start small identity experiments. Instead of trying to become a completely different person overnight, create small, consistent experiences that fit in with your emerging leadership identity. Third is to find your Yoda. Every Luke needs a mentor who knows the process of how to go through this transition successfully. You need to find someone who can guide you through the psychological challenges and not just the tactical ones. Someone who helps you evolve your philosophy. The managers who thrive don't just learn better techniques, they become someone different, more integrated, more authentic, and more confident in their identity as a leader. The identity crisis isn't a bug in the management system, it's a feature. It's your psyche forcing you to grow into someone capable of developing others. You have a choice. You can fight this transition, you can stay stuck in your old identity, and you can burn out trying to be Luke when you need to be Yoda. Or you can lean into the growth. You can develop your authentic leadership identity and philosophy and find the deep satisfaction that comes from watching other people to become heroes. The question isn't about whether you make this transition. The question is, do you have a systematic way to do it? If you want a structured step-by-step pathway through this transformation, then if you go to betheunified.com and sign up for the email course, I'll send you a step-by-step breakdown of how you move through this transformation. The link's in the description. And if this resonated, subscribe for more videos on mastering the psychological side of leadership, because that is where the real transformation happens.